Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Weekly Waypoint, where today we're in Minecraft and we're doing something slightly different. I'm gonna hit the turbo speed now. That's right, today's gameplay footage is going to be of me building a house in Minecraft. Not just like a 5x5 survive the night house, but one that took me about an hour to build and I'm pretty happy with. Although, don't get your hopes up because I'm not the best builder in Minecraft. The other house you see in the background is one that that kind of inspired this one, to be honest. I got a bee in my bonnet. I needed some help getting to sleep for a few nights this week, and so I put on some like ambient music, as I do sometimes from video games, and this time around I happened to put on Minecraft music and was hit with waves of nostalgia and affection for this game, so I had to get it out of my system and I built myself a tidy little house. And that got me to thinking, why not put it in a weekly waypoint, like a little build montage? I've never actually done that. I've never attempted this. I've never built something, filmed the entire build, and then sped up the footage. It's always a satisfying thing to watch, and what I'm learning right now is it's really interesting to watch back one that you yourself have done. This is a new world I've spun up purely for creative called Canvas, and if there's any builds you want to challenge me to do, as long as they're not too daunting, because like I said, I'm not the best builder in Minecraft, pop them in the comments and I'll consider doing another time-lapse if you enjoyed this one. One of the things that inspired me to do this is, as I was in bed failing to sleep and reminiscing on Minecraft, I was reminded of a YouTuber called Coastar, who is now a Twitch streamer and has been doing daily live streams for a variety of years. But I knew him for the Minecraft series Co's Quest, and I always thought it was really interesting watching him build these projects or these creative builds. I mean, not in creative mode, but you know what I mean. Just like if he wants to build, a castle in the sky or something like that. And just the process of watching him and wondering what he was going to do. Like, he would knock down a wall and start building an expansion to something and you'd be like, whoa, okay, what's he doing now? Just like the observational, intrigue of it is really cool, I think. And I wanted to replicate that in my way. I know that Minecraft is not the hottest game right now. I know it's not exactly in vogue, but it's been a bit of an interesting week, hasn't it? I don't have to go over, why a lot of people will be feeling down this week, especially since I'm a Brit, but I do sympathise for my American friends. We'll leave it at that. I didn't have all that much constructive to say, so I thought I would do something constructive instead in a video game. Now, as for what I've been playing this week, let's start with the headline event, and that's going to be Brighter Shores. For those of you who don't know what Brighter Shores is, it is a brand new early access MMORPG created by Fen Research, which is a new development team headed by Andrew Gower. Andrew Gower being the guy what invented RuneScape. If you don't know what RuneScape is, I don't really know how to help you because it's going to be a big reference point for this conversation. Think point and click adventure meets multi-user dungeon meets MMO, I guess, for RuneScape. And the thing about Brighter Shores is it shares a lot of RuneScape's DNA and visibly has from the very first trailer. At the same time though, it is subtly but importantly quite different. And since its reveal trailer, it's been my most anticipated game of the year, bar none. Although Dragon Quest III HD 2D comes very close in second place, and that's releasing Thursday, and I'm so goddamn excited, but we'll get to that one next week. Brighter Shores released this Wednesday, and I have, let me check, 21.1 hours in the game already, given that I'm recording this on Sunday night, and I've had 2 work shifts, and I've edited together a 45-minute long video within the week as well as the usual real life not playing video games 24 hours a day stuff. Oh, that didn't really show up well in the time lapse, but our villager friend there got in my way and accidentally punched him, and that was what scared the shit out of me. But yeah, I think 21 hours in 4 days is quite a lot of time to spend in a video game, and given that I've got thousands of hours in RuneScape and probably hundreds of hours in old school RuneScape, hopefully my thoughts and opinions carry some merit. Now, I want to say from the outright, I'm having a fantastic time with this game. I highly recommend it to anyone who's played RuneScape, but even then, there's a few caveats, there's a few things that we need to talk about. First of all, and I think this is probably as a result of it being an early access game, The way it's designed is a little bit different, and it's quite unique within MMOs in general, but it's importantly fairly different to RuneScape in a few ways. And I think because of people going into it with foreknowledge of what to expect from like this RuneScape style game, they misunderstood something, and it's not on them for misunderstanding, it is on the developers, don't get me wrong. Andrew Gower himself has, come out and admitted as much. But basically, the game is designed episodically, and I remember when this was announced, and I was kind of like analysing it in my video I did for it, which I'm still really pleased with because it got a fair amount of views for the channel's, averages. I compared it to like, they're just calling it episodic, but it doesn't really matter because when you think about it, RuneScape itself was kind of an early access, episodically developed game in that you would have expansions to the map and skills and stuff as it was live. I kind of underestimated what they meant in how hard they were going with the episodic thing, and one fact of the game basically is in Brighter Shores, each episode has its own set of professions, which is, skills if you're thinking in terms of RuneScape. And crucially, each episode has its own dedicated combat skill. And I won't spoil, what the skills are, because I think it's fun to find out, but for the sake of this conversation, I will mention that Episode 1's combat skill is called Guard, and Episode 2's combat skill is called Scout. And basically, when you get to Episode 2 and the kind of zone of Episode 2, I really think they should have called it, provinces or something instead of episodes. I think that's one of the main problems here, so just think of it in terms of, zones or provinces. You can only use that episode or zone or province's dedicated combat skill to do combat there, and so a lot of people got to Episode 2 and then freaked out because suddenly they were level 0 again and they couldn't fight higher level monsters again. Andrew Gower does do a good job in a blog post he wrote about justifying this design, but unfortunately this misunderstanding did lead to a lot of negative reviews. For a while it was sitting at mixed reviews on Steam. Last I checked a few minutes ago, we are thankfully back up to mostly positive. And I'm not full of praise, I will criticize them for the combat skills basically not having anything unique about them. I think it would be a lot less grating if, for instance, playing Scout had its own gameplay quirks compared to playing as a guard. It's not tied to weapons, it's not tied to special moves or anything like that. It might be in the future. They haven't implemented special attacks, so maybe there will be Scout specific gear, although the gear seems to be more related to the class you choose, so I don't really know what's going on with all that. They might have to, tinker with a few things there. I just realised I could have improved the shower by having a metal trapdoor instead. Damn, just right at the bottom to look like a little plug hole, it would be great. Anyway, besides that, I would say there is just one more skill which feels very cut and paste, or copy and paste I guess I should say, and that is gathering in relation to harvesting. They're the same skill. The things you pick up are very similar. In both cases, sometimes it's flowers for herbalism. But yeah, a lot of the issues people had when beginning Episode 2 was thinking, oh, I'm starting from scratch every time I start a new episode. And that there's no cross-profession synergy or cross-episode synergy between the professions. But that's not the case. It just takes a minute to kind of get going in that regard. I'm a decent ways into Episode 3 now. There are currently 4 episodes. They plan on having a 5th at least. And I am noticing a lot more synergy between Episode 3 skills and Episode 1 and 2 skills. I know they're called professions, I'm just going to call them skills, I'm sorry, I'm an old man, I can't change my ways now. But yeah, slight design hiccups aside, I'm completely charmed by Brighter Shores. I love the visual style of the game. I know I said I was a little iffy on it when it was first revealed, but I've completely fallen in love with it. The music in the game is gorgeous, just the atmosphere is really nice, and the story, it's not going to blow you away, but it's at the very least interesting and quirky and fun. It's got some unique ideas, it's also got some of that original Gower charm from the earliest RuneScape quests. I will say they need to comb through and add a bunch of commas because they seem very shy of adding commas to speech and it comes across a little underbaked, but hey, that's just my writing degree talking, don't mind me. One of the things I was not expecting from Brighter Shores was just how good the exploration systems are. It's not really something you had in RuneScape, it was just more naturally exploring the world and understanding things, but in Brighter Shores they do a really good job with their kind of tile to tile movement system of, you walk into a new tile and it kind of brightens up and you see it for the first time and you can always see adjacent tiles from where you are. And then also every gathering node, every enemy, every everything you're gonna use to skill with you can click on and discover, and then when you need to find that thing later, you can go in like the profession book or the skill book or whatever we're calling it, and you can see where you've discovered the node that you need to go and get, and it will highlight on a minimap. And this game is fantastic for that. RuneScape is notorious for needing an outside wiki to understand where anything is or what anything does, but this game, most of the information you can get from inside of a game, and that is a massive improvement over RuneScape if we are comparing apples to oranges. Now, one important difference between this game and its spiritual predecessor is that it's kind of a lot less AFK friendly, and what I mean by that is a lot of the skills, like let's take fishing for example, you're not clicking at a node and then waiting to gather a bunch of fish in your backpack until the node runs out and then a few minutes later clicking the next node. You will be clicking each individual fish, and I can understand that for a lot of people that might just be like horrible. But as someone who has recently just learned that they love agility in RuneScape after playing the game for like 15 years, I'm actually a big fan of this concept, and there is passive XP gain. That's a whole other thing, we'll get to that in a second. But I have seen some people complaining about the fact that the game is grindy, and given that most people playing the game right now seem to be, you know, previous RuneScape players, whether X or current, you know, whatever we're labeling ourselves, one does want to raise an eyebrow at that, because RuneScape is notoriously grindy by design, but I think it is because it's more click intensive than RuneScape is. That being said, as someone who wants to use Brighter Shores as another game to like play while also listening to audiobooks or podcasts, this is absolutely perfect. This is also the reason why I've recently discovered that I love agility in RuneScape now. I used to hate it. It's the perfect amount of stimulus for me to feel like I'm getting something out of a game, feel like I'm progressing my account, and also that I'm not just staring mindlessly at my monitor while my character automatically does things, because that's not enough stimulus. That's the balance we're trying to reach here. I did mention passive XP gaining though, so this game has an interesting AFKing kind of a system to it, because in this game you're allowed to log out and keep skilling. When you hit level 20 in most skills, you get passive skilling timers, and I'm still pretty new to them, so I don't know the full workings of how they work, and you know, they will inevitably change in the future as the game gets developed and player feedback keeps coming in. But right now how they work, at least as far as I can tell, is it seems to be based around you get 24 hours of, you know, having your character logged out doing the thing, and when you come in you will get a small XP reward based on how many hours you've been doing it for, as well as, like, you know, for instance, if you set your player to like doing combat and there's no death penalty risk associated with that, if you're doing the AFK one at least, you'll come back to some money that you've been looting from the mobs. Or if you were doing fishing, I believe one bucket of bait will give you roughly an hour worth of fishing, and that hour worth of fishing will net you roughly an hour, 1 unit of fish to then use for AFK cooking or chefing or whatever we're calling it. There's going to be a lot of or whatever we're calling it here, because being a spiritual successor, we are stuck in synonym land a little bit here. My complaint with the AFKing right now is that it does feel very limited in terms of rewards. I left my character to do fishing or combat for like 12 hours, and I came back and I got like 2 levels, but it's from like level 20 to 22, and then like there's a 500 level cap, so I can see them being reserved with this system to begin with, because they don't want to incentivize just logging your player character out and then logging in once a day for a few minutes and then logging them out again. I think it is supposed to be just this little bonus thing to reduce the feeling of XP waste that RuneScapers meme about all the time. But yeah, right now I would say AFK, or I guess, you know, log out skilling doesn't feel great, especially when you're comparing it to like AFKable skills in RuneScape. But yeah, I think that wraps up my initial thoughts on Brighter Shores. I think it's fantastic. I'm having a brilliant time with it. I have just given a bunch of like, here's what's not working so great. That's mostly just because there's been a lot of feedback in the community, and it, like I said, the game was sitting at mixed reviews for a little while there, and I've been pretty glowing with it in my actual footage, and I just kind of want to say, now that I've had more time with it, I'm able to step back a little bit and view it a little bit more objectively, and those are some more of my like criticism opinions. But for the most part, I would say It's like a 9 out of 10 for me so far, which is probably a little bit on the higher end. People are probably giving it a 7 or an 8 in their minds if they were to think about a number, but I'm just having such a good time. I love what it does differently to RuneScape. I love the world, I love the music, I love everything about it, and yeah, it's absolutely great. I of course got the premium membership, and I plan to support this game for a long time to come. I hope it manages to, you know, give Fen Research what they need, you know, in terms of both monetary and creative fulfillment to continue supporting this game into the future beyond early access. As for staying power, obviously we'll get into that in future weekly waypoints, won't we? I do worry a little bit that when I've unlocked Chronopolis and I've acquainted myself with everything that's in there, and I've caught up on the story, and I've familiarized myself with all the professions, it might get a little bit too samey and too grindy, but we'll see. Anyway, what else have I been playing this week? Well, Brighter Shores. No, I've already talked about Brighter Shores, you twat. Sorry, it's on the brain. Dragon Age Origins, for one thing, is what I meant to say. And I don't have a whole lot to say about that because you can see the video that I put up of my time playing that game this week. But Dragon Age the Veilguard came out. I might have talked about this a little bit last week because it's been like a week and a half. But I saw that and I went, oh, I kind of want that game. And then I looked at Dragon Quest III HD2D and I went, oh, I can pick one. And I picked Dragon Quest III. I am currently... Oh, I should see if I won a giveaway. I probably didn't. Okay, they haven't drawn yet. I am currently in a community giveaway for 2 different copies of Dragon Age the Veilguard. 322 entries in one of them and 173 entries in another. So wish me luck. Other than that, probably won't be playing the game till it comes to Game Pass. And even then, I think I mentioned this last week, I do kind of want to play through Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition first, which will take me years, of course. Still playing a whole bunch of Pokemon TCG. Wait, shit. Did that come out this week? Oh, thank God, no, that was last week's main topic. I was going to say, I don't have time to gush about that to the extent I want to. I'm still playing a ton of that. They've been doing a bunch of limited time events. There's like 3 concurrently already, which is crazy. One's like a PvE event, one's a PvP event, and one's like a Wonder Pick event. And yeah, it's really good. I pulled the Crown Rare Mewtwo EX the other day. You can hear the glibness in my voice because I am, of course, a free-to-play player. And you know what? While I had an initial rough go of it, I have been trouncing some people in PvP, so that's pretty cool. I don't talk to any game nearly as much as I talk to Pokemon TCG Pocket. I'm always kind of like muttering under my breath about what people are doing and what I'm doing in that game. Also, I woke up with really bad vertigo one day this week, so I spent a day just playing like Game Pass games, which I wouldn't probably have touched otherwise. So I played some Goat Simulator Remastered. Can confirm it's still Goat Simulator, and I also played some Golf with Your Friends. Didn't have any friends to play it with, but that's okay, it saved me embarrassment. As we end on a house tour here at the end in regular motion, I will quickly go through what I've been reading this week. I'm now, I think it's 4 or 5 hours away from the end of the Elantris audiobook. The release of Brighter Shores has sped that read up considerably. Oh my god, I look so slow now in the normal footage. I haven't made all that much progress on Ship of Destiny because I have been a little bit glued to my iPad at night watching the Brian Cox space documentaries, which I talked a little bit about last week as well. I just finished The Universe, so I'm all out of Brian Cox space documentaries now, so hopefully we can get back to Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. Yeah, I don't think I have all that much booktubing for you this week, I'm afraid. I'm just really excited to finish Elantris so that I can get back to my Lord of the Rings read-through. Although I am enjoying Elantris as well, I will have plenty to say about that in a blurbal reasoning. I guess to transition into what I've been watching, since I've spent a little bit more time there this week, I also watched the first episode of the Top Gear, you know, I mean, technically there was like a 70s show, but like the 2002 UK Top Gear reboot. Partially because I like cars, mostly because it's a really fun time capsule of 2002. It's a similar reason for why I considered getting into like old EastEnders episodes on iPlayer for a little bit a few months ago, and then promptly realized they were depressing as fuck. But yeah, I'm not a Jeremy Clarkson enjoyer in terms of his beliefs and stuff, but the man can be funny. 2 things can be true about people, it's crazy. I don't know if I'm going to keep up with my Top Gear watch through, but I watched Top Gear when I was younger and I enjoyed it, and it's pretty fun to see its origins. And like I said, it's always fun to learn more about cars. I can't drive, but I sure do play a lot of Forza. In regards to space documentaries, I recorded a Christian's audio log thing. If you don't know, I have like a personal little podcast feed, which is kind of like a diary kind of, and I do like little 5 to 10 minute episodes every now and again on an irregular basis, and I put an episode up called Black Holes ... and Revelations, where I talk about how, you know, learning about the universe is a fluid thing because our knowledge about the universe is a fluid thing, and it's probably a cool idea to keep on top of that, because the Black Holes episode of The Universe, the 2021 Brian Cox documentary, kind of changed my perspective on reality, and yeah, that's been going through my head since I saw that. But I think that's all I've got to say this week, apart from this house tour that I'm still kind of going through here. Like I say, it's been an odd week, it's been a dispiriting week, but the only advice I can really give, and it's far easier said than done, but it's to try and not spend too long obsessing over the things that you can't control, and you can no longer control these things. So this is of course in regards to American politics and the you know, the shit the shit that's going on. As I said at the start of the video, I don't really have anything constructive to say, and I fear that any kind of like, oh, try to like look after your mental health phrases will come off wrong. All the same, I know people have been doom scrolling for like days, so try to give yourself a break from that. Leave Twitter, that's what I did. But yeah, thanks for watching. Wait just a goddamn second. Fixed. 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 Improved. Fixed. Okay, I think that's everything. I did cut my outro off a little bit, so thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about my little house down below. If you've got any build suggestions, feel free to post those also, and I will see you in whatever I make next.